Hi, welcome to the Twinsburg Mayor's Report. Look, we're back in the studio, and Mayor, I am so happy to have you back. Thank you for coming.
No, it's great to be back, so thank you.
All right, well, let's start out with the big summer news. Oh, I'm sorry. I'd love to start with the summer news, but we have to back up and talk about the election results for May. So how are those results going to affect the city?
Yeah, so that was a really important issue for the city. We've never had any type of voted millage helping support any of our general fund operations. You know, these were specific funds. They're going to be used for our police and fire pension and our police and fire capital. I just want to thank the residents because that was a very big day in Twinsburg. It's really going to help us. You know, long term, it's maybe not going to solve all of our issues that we're dealing with, both in a financial situation, but again, that's really shores up those pension funds and then lets us start really, you know, having dedicated revenue stream for our long-term capital needs for both those departments. But it was a very, very big day for Twinsburg. Kind of historic day because, again, there's nothing ever like that's ever been on the ballot before. We've never used any inside millage or property tax money to help support any of our operations. So that was really important for us.
Well, good. And now that we're filming here on taping on June 2nd, and the governor is lifting all the restrictions, so how will that affect life in Twinsburg?
So I've been talking to businesses, and then we've been making decisions at City Hall. A lot of the businesses, from the retail standpoint, have already started lifting the mask requirement for those that have been vaccinated. And we're kind of taking that same approach at City Hall. We're trying to figure out how do we enforce or not enforce if someone hasn't been vaccinated, the wearing of masks. So that's something we're kind of struggling with right now. But right now, if you're vaccinated and entering City Hall, for our meetings, we've posted for our council meetings that those don't need to wear a mask if they've been vaccinated. But yeah, we're trying to battle through our fitness center and some of the different things that impact some of the different industries that we get involved with. But I think from a retail standpoint, a lot of our businesses are really starting to kind of unwind a lot of the mask restrictions. Even those that still have it posted, I mean, I've been in places that those that are walking in without masks, they're really not being confronted. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, you know, in Twinsburg and everywhere else.
Well, and it's funny because even in stores that don't require it, you go walking in and some people choose to still wear them, and you feel like such a rebel because you're like, I'm not in my mask.
I know. I shopped for the first time without a mask, and I don't know, I might have been the only one in there, but everyone was pleasant to me. But the next day I went back, and there was more and more people. I think you're starting to see the stores kind of, you know, fill up with non-mask wearing customers. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the next few months plays out. We've got concerts planned, and those restrictions have changed, and so we started with a limited capacity, and then we've kind of slowly increased it. Of course, our concerts are selling out like crazy, so it's a good thing. But people are just anxious to get out and do some of the stuff we did last year.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now I understand you are applying for grant money for road repair?
Yeah, so we constantly apply for grant money for road repair. A couple of the big projects that we've been really working on is finishing up the last section of Ravenna Road. That's been really something that's been on our radar, and we were scheduled out a few years from that. And with a lot of the federal money that's been passed because of COVID situations and infrastructure funding, AMATS has been able to open up some more projects. So we were able to move up like Ravenna Road to an earlier project, and then we're working on getting funding for Cannon Road, which is another one that needs some work. But yeah, so we constantly apply for funding, whether it's AMATS money or any other type of source. But yeah, these are a couple of big projects we were able to move up to an earlier standpoint for the next, I believe next year will be Ravenna Road.
Okay. Now I know you're responsible for your own sidewalks as far as shoveling and things like that, but how are sidewalk repairs handled?
So we have a couple different programs. When I took office, we ended up purchasing equipment that allowed us to go kind of drill and level sidewalks for residents. A lot of our sidewalks are starting to age through our developments, and you're seeing a lot of separation and just, you know, big, you know, cracks that are causing, you know, these areas that just make it hazardous for people walking or riding bikes. And some of the residents are capable and willing to repair the sidewalk, but which is typically a homeowner's responsibility. But we ended up starting a program where we send out our service workers. We trained them, And we didn't do much last year because of just limited resources and staffing. We're slowly working the program back in probably this year as we build up our seasonals, but we'll go out and kind of target a particular area and do, leveling of sidewalks. Now the bad areas that are around trees, or around sanitary lines or storm lines that are running, that have really sunken and broken, we contract that out and come in and replace like large sections of sidewalks. But I think it's I think the residents really appreciate it, because I don't know any other community doing it, but it does help, keep our sidewalks in better condition when we can go out and make sure that, some of these big, cracks and separations are taken care of.
Right. Now, I read on your website a warning about grass clippings. What is that? We're
just asking people to make sure that if grass does blow into the street when you're cutting the grass, just make sure you blow it off, and because I think for motorcycles and cyclists, that hit grass clippings like that, especially on hot days, makes it a very dangerous situation. So that's one of the main things we're trying to do, is just keep those off, and it ends up washing all down into our storm system too. But yeah, it's just something we try to remind everyone every year just to watch out for, especially for the motorcyclist.
Well, that's good, because you don't think of that. You think of your leaves, but who thinks of grass clippings? So that's good. Yeah. Okay. Tell me about your small business celebration.
Yeah, so this was a program that we started. We were trying to think of something that could kind of spotlight some of our local small businesses, just really as they struggled and got through 2020, just to try to help get them a little bit of publicity. And so we kind of broke it down. It's kind of a 6-month plan this year, and hopefully this is something we continue to do. But we have different areas that we're hitting, so service, dining, personal care, retail, real estate, and then healthcare. So we've kind of broken it in, and we've had people submit just a brief introduction of their business and their logo. And so we've created a page, a landing page, that we've got them all listed, and if you click on their logo, it'll take you to their website. And so it's just something that we're, in a small sense, trying to do for our businesses, just to help them out and get them a little bit of marketing in the area.
No, that's nice, because a lot of times small businesses open and you don't even realize that they're there.
Yeah, our chamber does a really good job of setting up, grand openings and ribbon cuttings for our businesses, and the bulletins covers it, and so it's nice. They do a good job with that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the businesses that have been around for a long time really had a challenging year in 2020. So just anything we can try to do to help them stay afloat.
Well, we're on the topic of businesses, and I know every city always wants more business, but apparently Twinsburg said no medical marijuana businesses.
Yeah, this is something we've kind of tried to address in the past. I mean, we were looking at when they were first giving out the licenses to both the cultivating side, the processing side, and dispensing side. We were trying to figure out how Twinsburg would fit into that, and we had a couple of cultivators that wanted to come to town, and so we I would say embraced them, but we were okay with them coming there. They were going industrial area, and the way that those were set up, you really wouldn't know it was a cultivating center. I mean, and the security that they have, we were concerned about a lot of different issues, both from a safety issue as well as just a public, what the public perception would be of that business being in town. Now we're starting to see they're opening up more licenses on the dispensing side, and so we've had a few contacts recently about opening up dispensaries in Twinsburg. The dispensaries I'm not as fond of. My concern is if marijuana becomes legal from a recreation standpoint, what these dispensaries will probably convert quickly from medical to the recreational side. And I'm not sure quite what that looks like. And I know, we've received emails and letters from different states that have had dispensaries from a recreational standpoint, talking about when a lot of this legislation was being proposed years ago, just to try to keep this out of your state. So I'm just a little leery about what that may look like in the future. So yeah, it just gives us some time to really work through with our planning commission and our building department and planning department, and see how and if we want to have dispensaries in the city of Twinsburg.
Do you have similar regulations for vaping shops?
I don't know if we really have too many. They're a retail business, so we do have one in town that is vaping cigarettes, you know,
Right.
but I don't know that we have a similar, any real regulations on those, you know.
Okay.
So, and I know a lot of the statutes that were written around the medical marijuana industry allows much more flexibility for municipalities to allow them in or not allow them in. So those are some of the things we need to kind of sort through.
Okay. You're going to have a big memorial celebration coming up on June 12th. Tell me about that for a former mayor.
Yeah, so this is Mayor Karabec. We've been working with the family, trying to do something that would honor Mayor Karabec and his time and all the stuff that he accomplished in the city of Twinsburg. And we came up with we created kind of a garden area, landscape area up at Liberty Park. That was one of the things that he was most proud of, is being instrumental in the beginning parts of acquiring that land and developing it for recreational purposes. So we brought in some of the old historic Hudak stones, and then a good friend of his donated the money to do a nice bronze plaque with his picture, and the family came up with the wording on the plaque. And yeah, it should be a really nice ceremony. They're coming up from Florida for it on June 12th. It'll start around 9:30 in the morning, and I've notified all the baseball league organizers that we're going to stop everything and do a dedication before the ball games, which I think his family would love, and I think Jim would love, because you know he loved the youth sports and helping create that in the city of Twinsburg. So to have everyone kind of there that day before everything starts should be really nice.
Okay, so you're going to honor him on the 12th, and then you're continuing to honor a former police officer with a scholarship fund?
Yeah, so Josh Miktarian, as everyone knows, you know, we lost him in the line of duty, and each year there's a fund that's created to give scholarships to high school kids graduating from Twinsburg that are going to pursue law enforcement. And so there's on July 16th there's a golf outing, and it usually sells out, so hopefully you can still get a spot. But yeah, it's something that they've been running. Brian Donato's been running that for years for the police department, and a lot of the guys get really involved in that, as well as a lot of other events for Josh. But it's something that I always participate in, and you know I encourage the residents to also.
Okay. How are things going at the golf course?
Things are well. Yeah, it's another great year. We've just been. Our tee times are booked. It's really hard to get a tee time there right now. It's our leagues. We've added some more leagues, and so I don't know. I think there's a waiting list for leagues to be at Twinsburg. So, yeah, the course is doing really well. You know, the Burntwood group, you know, is really doing a great job running the restaurant. They're getting things. Things are starting to pick back up in the banquet side. So we had a lot of events booked that kind of slowed down during COVID, but things are starting to pick back up. I've seen pictures of weddings they've been doing. So I think, you know, hopefully this is a nice long-term relationship with them. But, you know, from the golf side and operations side, things are going really well.
Good. And what about the water park?
The water park is open. We had to delay a couple days because of weather. And I was messaging with our aquatics coordinator, Brandon, and he's done a fantastic job getting the pool ready. We really struggled with lifeguards this year, which I know we'll talk about in a minute, the seasonals. But he's just done a great job, and he got the pool open. We had a really good day, opening day. The heater malfunctioned, and so it was a cool day, but the kids still swam. But we have that fixed, and it's funny, he sent me a picture of a full pallet of soft pretzels. I guess he ran out of soft pretzels, so now he has more soft pretzels than he'll need for the next few weeks. But no, it's been good to have the concessions open again, and to see the pool opening back up to kind of full capacity and having fun. Yeah.
That could be your logo, you know, your slogan. Come to the water park. We have heated water and hot pretzels.
Hot pretzels, they're a hit there right now.
All right. Well, you touched on seasonal employees. Are you having trouble getting enough?
Yeah, we really struggled with our seasonal employees at the beginning of the year, and a lot of it is. I think both pay and just availability of a lot of our seasonal workers. So we have adjusted our hourly rate to $12 an hour in the city, and so we hire primarily our camp counselors, our lifeguards, our concession stand workers, our service workers, and then our golf course. You know, so there's a couple hundred seasonals that we hire every year, and just we really struggled. We ended up doing a job fair a week or so ago, and had 65 applicants show up. So, and we were interviewing, drug testing and hiring on the spot. So we had it all set up. If they came in and we liked them, they were going to leave with a job.
That's good.
But it worked out well. It was great. And so I think we are in a much better position now than we were beginning of the summer when we were really struggling.
Do you still have a few openings?
There are still a few openings
Okay.
we're looking for in our service department, primarily, are the ones we're kind of looking for. Concessions filled up really quick for the outdoor pool. And then we are, if you're interested in being a lifeguard and not trained, we are looking at setting up some special training for kids that want to become lifeguards.
Okay. I recently discovered a group called Friends of Twinsburg Parks.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do?
So that's a 501c3 that was organized by one of our Parks and Rec committee members, and it's been a great addition to the city. They're still kind of growing and developing their membership base, but really their purpose is to help organize, promote, and recommend different recreational projects in the city. So they got really involved in our pickleball courts that we built. They donated money toward the resurfacing of the old tennis courts that we redid. They've recently purchased wind screening for it. I know we allowed them to sell banners on the middle. We have a middle fence dividing the courts, and so they sold banners. And actually, they're going to come in this year and fix a lot of the cracks that are in the court and different things. So that's kind of one of the projects they've really focused on. So hopefully, as they continue to grow, there'll be other projects in town that they can really support and raise funds for.
And it's an all-volunteer organization?
All volunteer.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of got based, Hudson has a really good Parks and Rec organization that really is their municipal arm of Parks and Rec, that from an advisory standpoint, and they've been around for a number of years and a very strong organization. So I think that idea kind of got brought into Twinsburg, and hopefully it's something that continues to grow and just can become really a sounding board for us, and what the needs of the community are from a Parks and Rec standpoint.
Sure. Okay, finally, you have a couple big days coming up to help people with their clutter.
Yeah. So June 5th, we have an e-waste recycling event. This was just organized in the last few weeks. And this is for old computers and TVs and anything electronic. The company will show up from 12 to 4, and people can drop that off. And then we have June 12th, we have a shredding day. So we typically do at least one shredding day per year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I have the times for that, but I think it starts at 9:30 in the morning and runs, for 3 or 4 hours. But
and where's that?
Both of those are going to be at our service department garage. Okay. So right off Ravenna Road, right next to the wastewater treatment plant. So yeah, people typically will start lining up beforehand, and then but we'll have service guys and the different organizations there to help just unload and keep people moving in and out of there.
Right, right. But we should clarify though. You bring in an old computer, they will take it from you for recycling, but they're not going to erase any data on that.
I think
correct?
they're going to have. I think they'll have the capability on site to destroy hard drives and different things, so that the data is.
Good.
So there's no data that's being, passed on to the company.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming here in person. That was
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah, it's good being back in person.
All right, and we will see you next month. Thank you.
This is our daughter, Emmy.
She was such a bright light in our lives.
When she was just 19 months old, we lost her to drowning. I'm Bodie Miller, and this is my wife, Morgan.
Emmy drowned in a pool at a neighbor's house. She slipped out the back door, and in the space of minutes, she was gone.
Drowning is the single leading cause of death in children ages 1 to 4.
We believe it should be the #1 thing parents think about when it comes to safety.
Drowning is preventable.
This is urgent. Please talk with your pediatrician about how to keep your child safe.